Welcome to the chaos.
Yeah!
All right, we got it.
Look at that.
I think we're getting on it.
Ooh.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to the chaos. I'm your host, MikeyTableman, alongside my co-host,
Danny J. Gomez.
Oh, you said it like regularly once.
I did, but I kicked myself.
I mean, all right, cool.
It's an impressive feat if you know I can't move my feet.
I love when we started off on a funny
Yeah.
joke. Today on the chaos, we have social media director, content creator, cover model. She has her own swim line. Yo, this girl does everything, and she's cool as can be. The lovely Kayla Fitz.
Thank you,
Yay,
Mike.
welcome.
Hi, thanks for
Hello.
having me,
No,
guys.
thanks for being on.
Thank you.
So give everybody a little bit about yourself, you know, where you came from, what you're doing, you know, the whole essence, because you got a really cool story, a really cool lifestyle.
Yeah, I feel like every time someone asks me, like, tell me about yourself and what you do, I'm like,
Just
do I,
disappeared.
what do I do exactly?
Right.
Remind me.
Right.
No, but I started out in the modeling industry. I was doing like swimwear competitions in Florida. And then this agent found me and asked me if I wanted to do this. It was called the Hawaiian Tropic pageant back in the day.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah. It was a big one. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, 10 years ago. And so I was like, I'll do it, whatever. And I ended up winning in Miami. And then the winners of every state went to the World Finals in Vegas. So I went there, and then I ended up placing top 5 and getting like a bunch of different contracts. So that kind of spiraled into why I moved out to LA, because I was flying back and forth from Florida to California like almost every other week. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to just do it. So I quit school and moved across the freaking country at 22 and signed with an agency. My first job I booked was with Skechers, and then it just kind of kept spiraling from there. Started doing campaigns for swimwear, lingerie, landed me into Maxim, and then I was picked as top 15 for Sports Illustrated, did some stuff with them, walked in their swimwear show. Then from that, went on The Amazing Race. So I was on The Amazing Race.
That's cool. We'll definitely have to get back to that one.
That's amazing. I hear about that.
Yeah,
we'll have to come back to that.
definitely come back to that
we'll
one.
come back to that. I have so
Yeah.
many stories for that one.
Oh,
so
yes.
that's a good
Awesome.
one. That's a good one to tap on for sure. And then from there, just being in the industry, social media kind of took off. So I started going that avenue and grew my following. So now I'm at like 500,000 followers right now. And just throughout the years, just making that network and meeting a bunch of people in the industry. I'm in my 30s now, and I'm kind of like segueing out of the modeling and going more into social media marketing. And I finished my degree at UCLA. So
Congrats.
thanks.
Congrats, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So now I'm kind of like, I'm doing all that instead of less in front of the camera, more behind the camera, shooting content, social media marketing, management.
You excited about the transition?
I am. Yeah. It's definitely better for my mental health, I will say.
Oh my God,
But
having to be in front of the camera all the time is.
yeah, I mean, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so much less pressure.
Sorry.
Do you not
You
get
saw
it?
my head
Am I
fucking
wrong?
fall.
Am I wrong?
Danny was just on a couple of TV shows that you've definitely seen, so I don't know why he's being so modest.
I
Also won my
know.
own modeling show.
I was like, wait, did I get this wrong?
Look at this cute guy.
All right, Dimples, relax.
Oh my God! Dim the lights, everyone.
And the show's
Chaos
over.
after dark.
We have a lot of fun on the chaos.
Yeah,
I'm glad
this
I'm glad we
is
can
great.
laugh so much.
This is great.
This is great. So kind of pulling it back.
Please continue about me.
I'm done. All
I'm
right.
just gonna roll
Wrap.
out.
Let's wrap the show.
I'm just gonna roll out now.
What if I just pushed him and he just rolled out of this? All right, enough,
Now it
enough.
feels like to be you.
Yeah. Enough tomfoolery. Let's get it.
Oh my god.
So I gotta going back, like doing the whole modeling thing, and you're talking about, knowing you are big into your mental health and making sure that you are grounded spiritually, mentally, emotionally. How triggering was that on your mental health doing the whole modeling thing? Because I gotta imagine like there's so many people getting at you for your look, what it's like. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost like a double-edged sword a little bit, because you're like, you want people to want you for your looks in that industry, but then you're also like, that's all, you kind of get pigeonholed into this thing of like, if you're pretty and if you're doing this, you don't have a brain. So it's, throughout the industry and throughout my career, there's been a lot of times where it's just a lot of demeaning behavior and guys who think they can just say and do and touch and whatever whenever they want. So mentally, obviously, that's like a really hard thing to navigate initially. And I think when I was younger, it was obviously a lot harder because there wasn't so much awareness about mental health and like the things that you can do to kind of divert that thought in your head and like get it out versus like now I've learned to journal and I've learned to meditate and like take time for myself. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, okay, I can say no. I don't need to be out in the scene every freaking weekend or 4 nights a week. You know what I mean? Like saying yes to every single person who wants me to go to an event or do a carpet or go out and party, and you're out until 5 a.m. and then you're at a shoot at 8 a.m. and it's just like lack of sleep. And I mean, you know, you live in LA and there's something going on every single night.
Yes.
I think it's funny, like when we talk to everybody, like we're all now in our 30s, but like when we were in our 20s, we were going ape. Now we're in our 30s, looking at people in their 20s, like, what the are y'all doing? Me and like, yo, we did that not so long ago.
Literally.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know, maybe last week I did that, but
Like we do it every once in a while.
Right.
Yo, you're right. We would do like I would be out at my house on Mondays, Hyde on Tuesday,
Yep.
like
Warwick on Wednesday.
yeah, Greystone on Sunday. Like we were all like out and about all the time, and now you just look at it like that just sounds exhausting.
Yeah. Just to go out one night a week. I'm like, oh
dude.
God, well,
I
I gotta
have
go
to-
out this week? Shit.
Right. I have to like prep myself now. I'm like, who wants to see me this week? Because I need 2 weeks notice. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
And then after I go out, I also need another 3 days to be by myself, hibernating, not talking to people.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know we've talked about this before, just being an empath and like being in situations where there's so many people around, you just like kind of take in, it's not my first rodeo. You take in all that emotion and it's like you leave and you're just so drained. And I'm like, I don't want to see or do anything. Like, I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit in my bed, cuddle my cat and watch TV.
Right?
Let me ask you this thing, because we've talked about this empath thing a bunch of times. When did you, one, first realize that you were able to take on all that energy? And secondly, what was that like finding it out? Because when I realized, like, oh, there's a lot of I'm feeling and it's not mine. I freaked the out. And you were in an industry where it's all eyes on you. Everybody's trying to talk to you, wants to be around you. Every guy is trying to hit on you. Like, what was that like with that energy and trying to navigate that situation?
Yeah, I just remember, well, I used to work for Monster too, so I did a lot of, and I still do, you know, even with the social media stuff now and doing the marketing and going to events and things, like, you just have to be on for however long you're scheduled, you know what I mean? So, like, we would work sometimes 12, 15-hour days where you're taking fans with photos, or fans with photos, photos with fans all day long. And then you're on camera, you're doing commercial spots, like, so it's just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And I remember leaving those days and just being like, oh, I want to cry. Like,
Right? Yeah.
Sometimes I would literally sit in my hotel room and just cry. And I'm like, why am I so emotional? Like, all I did was work today. But you don't realize it, how much that affects you when you're out. And like, you know, like we would be out and guys just would grope your ass, or like, I've had a guy pick me up once and like put his hands under my shirt, and I'm like, what the like, who raised you?
Right? Oh my
Like,
God.
are you kidding me? Oh, thank you. Are you looking out for me?
Yeah, I want you to have
Yeah.
the whole time, you know? So.
I thought there was food in there. I was saving it for later.
A meme again.
Yeah, I know.
She's a reoccurring meme that I see all the time, and every time somebody sends it to me, I'm like, oh, that's my homie.
Insert meme here.
Insert meme here.
Dude,
Or not.
my mom
It's up
was
to
just
you.
talking about that meme because they also have it as a happy birthday, a GIF on your iPhone. They made it into an actual GIF on the iPhone that says
shit.
happy birthday. So she's like, your uncle's birthday was yesterday, and you know what meme I sent him? I'm like, yes, I do. I'm like, it's going now for 7 years, and I have no royalties on this. Like, what the
That's the thing about memes and GIFs. Like,
Yeah.
you're fucked.
Dude,
The internet
I know,
is
right?
so fast.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
So fast.
Yeah, Rob Dyrdek, actually, because I was shooting for Monster during Street League, and we were on the screen, waving me the camera, blowing the kiss, and the guy behind us looked like someone from Duck Dynasty, and he was like blowing the kiss behind us. So Rob Dyrdek zoomed in on it on his camera and posted it on social media, and that's how it took off.
Remember that one?
Yeah, that's me.
No shit.
Yeah, guys, so if you see it, send it in the DM.
That meme is about to recirculate
Yeah.
like hardcore,
Oh
dude.
no, I get sent that meme every single day. I am not kidding. From someone else who hasn't seen it yet. I'm like, yo, you are 7 years late, bro.
Yeah,
like, like I appreciate it, but yes, it's me, and it was 7 years ago.
It's like, can we move on?
Yeah.
Right.
Can we please move on? But it's fun.
Did that open any like opportunity? Because I know some people from memes they got famous off of that.
There was the one kid, he signed an NIL deal. Remember the kid with the Popeyes? He's just in like yeah. So now he won a state championship in football and then got an NIL deal with Popeyes, and they have him side by side now on billboards with the same exact thing, with his championship in the other hand and not just the drumstick.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, unfortunately, the only thing that came of it was Monster flew that guy out to California, and we shot like a legit commercial with him. So I mean,
a little something.
A little something.
For him.
An extra day rate for me, which was like nice. But then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, they me on that. Like, they've
been making a ton of money off this for a while, and you're not seeing a dime.
Exactly. Shit. Yeah. So yes, but no.
Yes, but no. So sorry. Love the tangent
we got sidetracked.
No, it's not good.
What was the real question?
No, but going back to like kind of as you started to figure out you were an empath, and you're like kind of like you said, you're sitting home crying at night, and you're like, yo, this doesn't feel like it belongs to me. Like, how is that trying to navigate that situation? Was the original thing we were talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever really thought of it. Like, I don't think I had like an aha moment of like, these aren't my feelings, but I definitely think it was just kind of an age thing. Like, once I got older, I just started to realize, like, because I love to talk to people about their problems, and like, I think just naturally, even when they're not talking about it, I just feel the energy, and sometimes I'll come home and I'm tight and I'm like, I had a good day. What's happening here? You know? So yeah, I don't think there was an aha moment. I think just with age, I just kind of like realized, okay, I have to really be selective with my time and the people that I'm surrounding myself with, because I do just naturally take on that stress, I guess.
And it's like, it's funny because like when me and you first like connected and started talking, it was about that. And you're like, oh, cool, we're on the same wavelength, because not a lot of people can have that conversation about empath spirituality, taking on emotions. And it's like, only certain people can really rock in that conversation.
Yeah, I think
it's
we
like,
were.
Oh, she's cool.
Yeah, we were. I was like, I think we were at a festival.
Yeah,
and I was like sitting at the table literally by myself, and Mike comes up. He's like, "Are you good?" I was like, "Yeah, I just needed a minute."
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally just needed a minute to like not have anyone around and just like chill for a second.
It's crazy in a fucking music festival, man. And like, that's a place we're talking about taking on other people's energy.
Oh my God.
That I am crawling in my skin a lot of times at a music festival, even when I'm working, because I'm like, I can't do this. I'm so exhausted. That's why it takes me a week to become a person again. Yeah. After that type of.
Absolutely.
So many different personalities, emotions.
And bro, like, especially in that world, people hide. Like, you can be sitting there putting on the face. I can feel how ugly you are on the inside. I can feel all the things that you might not even be aware of, but I can see them like, oh, you hate this right now. Like, you're pretending to be here and enjoy. Yeah. Nah, you're not. Yeah. Like, you could see the evil in some people. Fuck.
I know. I feel like, are we allowed to? We can clip this if we're not, but are we allowed to talk about mushrooms?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're very wide open to talk about. I mean, Fells was in here. I mean, she's good friends with Fells. We had a whole conversation about mushrooms. You know,
I should have known.
Taken a little bit before.
Yeah, I definitely should have known. Actually, I take that back. I knew that. I think I always had that sense, you know, and I have always been able to like feel people's energies and things. But I feel like when I started doing mushrooms and microdosing mushrooms, it heightened it to like an entirely new level. And like you said, like I don't even have to talk to you. I can literally just see you for like instantaneously. I'm like, nope, I don't want to be around that. Nope. Not my kind of people.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like, oh, this person's so cool. They're so nice. I'm like, all right, cool. And then a couple months later, I'd be like, told you so.
Right?
Like,
dude.
We know like off the bat.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
It is really weird. Do you have that experience at all or no?
Of course. I thought you were amazing when you walked in.
That's right. You better say that.
No, I definitely like I always feed off of energies, and like even when my energy is low, I can tell that it feeds off into the other room and and like people in the room. And if I come in with like who I am naturally, like I want to have fun and make people laugh or just enjoy life, then you can tell like it just lifts the room.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need more people like us, you know?
It would help make the world a better place. Like, just because we know, like, I can be out and be like, all right, I'm having an altercation with somebody in work, a conflict, and I'm like, what you're mad at right now isn't about me, and this isn't about us. So it's like, all right, cool. It helps us navigate situations a lot better because I can be like, yo, I'm not taking this personally. You just have to get it out, and yo, it is what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think if a lot of people could do that and look at it and realize, I think something's off. This person's definitely going through something. Let me just relax on them.
I think that's my problem is that when I am going through something and I do shut down and I force myself to go out or do something, and I feel like the energy dropping, I'm like, I should just take myself out of that situation so I don't like ruin other people's, you know what I mean? Or just like, look, I'm not well.
Or like she was saying earlier, she's like, I can't say yes to everything. I know it's not good for me to say yes to everything.
Yeah, that's, and I'm doing a lot better of just not saying yes and just staying in and like taking time to myself.
But it takes so long but it's so hard to do that though.
Yeah, because it's like the fear of missing out, like, you know, you see your friends having a good time. You're like, I already did that. Like I did that for years. I don't need that.
I don't know if you guys experience this too, but you said fear of missing out. And I'm like, I used to have that so bad. And now I'm like, I don't get it at all. Like I see them out and I'm like, that looks fun. But like, really, I know exactly what's going on right now. I know exactly how the night has played out. I've lived it. We've done this. And you're going to tell me what happened tomorrow. And I'm already going to know before you tell me.
And I'm going to wake up feeling amazing. And you're going to
hate life.
Like a zombie.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm going to have a great day. You're going to be hungover until about 2 p.m. and eating food and feeling sorry for yourself.
Exactly.
Which, don't get me wrong, I definitely still have those nights. But
that's one thing I've done a lot more is like, I think about the next day.
Right.
Instead of having that like instant gratification of the fun that night, I'm like, wait, what about tomorrow, bro? How are you gonna feel tomorrow, dude?
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
In your 30s, hangover lasts 2 to 3 days.
In your 40s, like a week.
Oh, you're in your 40s.
You're in your 40s? Are you Asian?
Yes.
That's so not fair.
Tequila and moisturizer. That's
yeah.
Good tequila though.
Gotta have good tequila.
Very.
What's your favorite tequila?
I do enjoy Casamigos Añejo, the
Me too.
Reposado, 42, anything aged.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Anything dark.
Anything dark. Yeah.
I don't like the clear.
Goes down smooth.
But I also think like because when we were coming up in the nightlife scene, like we were just always throwing back tequila shots, and you could drink the silver because that was the one that goes through the most, so people aren't gonna realize how much I drank of the good. So I'm like, I just gotta drink the silver, and now I hate it.
You can tell like
there's a big difference.
way you feel the next day.
Huge. The next day is like it's a game changer.
But it's also like tequila's a sipping. It's supposed to be a sipping.
Yeah, it's not
spirit,
the way. That's not the way we did.
Yeah.
We're just.
Remember back like you were probably like 18 drinking Cuervo.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I still have like.
Me too. It gives me the chills. It's like bone chilling. Like
Some fun memories.
Or Captain Morgan. Disgusting.
I used to order at the bar. I just walk up to the bar and do the Captain Morgan dance. And then the drink would just fly down the bar every time.
And you're just like, call it.
Yeah.
Taking it back.
Yeah, let's go.
Tangent number 2.
So we also talked about before, you deal with your own anxiety, but as someone who is an influencer, you, like you said, you have 500,000 followers, you're growing, you do speak to a lot of people. How do you translate that to a lot of your following, your fans? Like, hey, this is me, I look like this, but I'm also dealing with A, B, and C kind of thing. Like, how do you do that, and what's the responsibility you feel?
Yeah, no, for sure. It is interesting because I think naturally you feel a responsibility when you have that many people that are following you, and I think before I felt like I had to put on a facade and like make sure that like this person that everyone was seeing is like who they always see, whether it's stories or feed posts and all that, without emotion. That's anything that was negative. I was like, keep it off, but I think now I've just taken so much more of an authentic approach of if I'm having a bad day or like if hitting the fan, I'm like, listen, you guys, like, I'm not having a great day today. No, I just want to let you know, and like it's okay. Like you can have these days. We all have these days because like I think with Instagram and just TikTok and all these social media platforms, it's like everybody's highlight reel, right? It's like the best parts of their lives that they're sharing. So I think if we can come from more of an authentic place and share the days that we're not having good days too, then it gives other people the knowledge of like, okay, like this girl looks like she lives an amazing life, but like she also has days where she cries and she feels anxiety and she's stressed out. And like I've also shared little tools and things like meditation and my journal. Like I post links to like the things that I find that I like, and I feel like that's been helpful too. Like the 5-minute journal. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Like, I actually bought that for Kelsey because she was like in a dark place for a little bit. And I was like, listen, like, you need to start this. I'm like, get into a habit of doing it and just getting it out on paper. And it's funny when you like see it on paper versus like what's in your head. Like, sometimes
you get it out.
Sometimes you're also like, I don't even agree with that. Like, I actually don't even agree with what I wrote about how I feel. So now I look at it from a different perspective and I'm like, okay, we can move through this and we can move past it and like be good, you know?
So explain that, a 5-minute journal. Mm-hmm. You just 5 minutes of whatever
insert
comes
link
out.
Picture here.
Yeah, I got you. I'll send the link. So it opens up. It has like, it kind of like walks you through like the purpose of the journal or whatever. And then you write the date at the top of the page, and it gives you prompts essentially. So it's like, three gratitude, and you do it in the morning and then you do it again at night. So like you start your day and then you do like, how did you feel? And then what you accomplished that day and like how you feel at the end of the day. So you do it for 5 minutes a day, like, and it just becomes a habit. And then I think it's a really good starter for people to start journaling because it prompts you. So it's like it's telling you what to put on paper, you know? Because it is intimidating, I think, too, when people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to journal, but then you go to sit down and put pen to paper and you're like, wait, I'm good. I don't know where to go with this.
That's why I tell people just start writing. Just write anything. Yeah. I don't know what to write about, and then it just goes into
It'll turn
whatever.
into something. Yeah.
And that's just kind of way.
Yeah, I got my boyfriend to start journaling too. So he plays baseball, and it's like such a mental game. Like, you can have the physical abilities, but if you're locked up in your head, it can affect everything else, which we all know, right? So I'm like, you got to get it out. You got to get it out somehow, babe. Like, start journaling. And he's like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, just trust me. Just try it. If you hate it, okay, but just try it. And he calls me and he's like, holy shit, that was awesome. He's like, I'm about to go crush a workout right now. I feel great. He's like, I just put all my feelings on the paper. And like, he's like, at the end, I was like, this, that. He's like, I put the word so many times on that paper. And I was like, I was like, yeah, but how do you feel now? He's like, I feel awesome.
Like, you're getting it out. Like, the definition of an emotion is energy in motion. So if you have that emotion, you're feeling it, you get it out of your head on paper, you've just released that emotion. And so many people hold on to it, and that's when you combust.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
I've also I also love to just like turn on music and dance in my apartment. Like, I feel like moving through with energy and like getting it out by like moving your body is also like a really fun thing to do.
Yeah, that's something that Tony I don't know if you ever heard the Tony Robbins thing. Like, they just turn on music and get everybody in the room to dance and just let out. Or
you don't even realize how much lighter you feel when you do that too, because you're like, oh, okay, like, I feel like a new human right now.
Cut to dance party. Let's go.
Yeah, hey.
Some music there.
Danny's gonna get up and fucking break dance.
Yeah. On my head.
You're such a dick.
Backflips.
And we're back.
Cut from dance break.
Yeah, right.
Was it disco type? Disco.
A discotheque.
A disco. Oh man. Well, solid answer.
I sometimes I'm like talking and I'm like, am I going in circles? Am I making sense? What did I just say?
You're making a ton of sense. But like, the cool thing that you talked about is just kind of, keeping your head on straight. Is most people would kind of get to where you are, and like you still talk about people have all these followers. How many times have we been out at an after party and somebody's with 2 million followers, but they're crashing on this person's couch? Like, you were smart enough to be able to like, all right, cool, I have this following. What's next for me? You created your swim line. You have all these other things going on. So like, there's a lot of females out there that could really take point from you. So like, how are you able to do that? And what was the mindset behind that?
Yeah. Well, I've always been kind of business and like business savvy and good with money and things like that. So when I started realizing I could make a career out of modeling and hosting and, doing social media marketing and influencing and stuff, and then I started implementing influencer programs for brands, actually. And that kind of spiraled into why I started the swimwear and why I got involved with that, because I'm like, I have such a large network and I have so many people who I know that would do things for me just because we have that relationship. So I'm like, if I start, I'm always in a bikini. Typically, I was in a bikini today, like right before I came here. So I'm like, what can I do that I love that if I have to put the hard work and the sweat and the blood and the tears into that it's going to be something that I enjoy. And so now we have Axel Swim, and starting that whole journey has been like a
link here.
Insert link has been a crazy process, but it's also been really cool to see like all the people that I've met along the way that are like willing to help me out and like throw up a post or like, you know, put it on and like do a story with a link and like help me drive traffic organically to help build the brand. So that's been really cool for me. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, yeah. That seems to be like the theme on this podcast. Like we have all these people that we knew from when we were younger, and everyone's doing like great now, and we're extremely grateful for it. But we ask everybody like, yo, what are you appreciative of? And they're like, my people, my network, because most people don't have the access to the types of networks that we have. Yeah,
no, exactly. I mean, I was actually, so the brand, I shot with them. So they were owned by two women previously, and I was their first model for their first photo shoot ever. And it got bought back out. And so me and my business partner, like pretty much like took it and like rebranded it and started it all. We start from scratch, new fabric, new manufacturers, new marketing, everything. So it's like, I think if you just work hard and you put yourself in the right places and you do the extra work, like I think why I've been so successful in my career and just in other endeavors that have like led me to where I'm at is because I was the one that was always like, I'll stay an extra 10 minutes if that's what it takes to get the job done. I'm not the person that's like, okay, oh, you said I'm booked until 5. Well, then you're paying me overtime for 30 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think when you do the extra little things that make a difference in scenarios, like you just build different relationships, you know? And it's like, okay, I'm not just here for a paycheck. Like I'm here because like I care too.
Work ethic is always spoken for itself, man.
Yeah, and like that's how you keep that momentum going. Because I'm sure, I mean, you know this about set. You're booking a photo shoot. You're booking a show.
Yeah.
Some people might be better positioned for it, but if that person sucks and they know they like you as an individual, they're gonna cast you first because you want to work with people you like working.
Yeah, and also like having a disability and like people see people with disabilities as weak. Like I have to work extra hard to show them like we belong. We're not going to be a nuisance on set. Like I'm going to be here more than the other person.
Yeah. No, I feel that too. Cause I mean, now there's all this body inclusivity and, you know, whatever. But when I started in the modeling industry, I mean, I'm 5'3". So I'm like, I was coming in as a petite model and going into casting rooms with girls that are like 5'8" and above, you know? And like, it was tough. I had to work 3 times as hard to even put my foot in the door, you know? So I feel you on that. Yeah. I feel you on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally like the odd person out.
Yeah.
In every room that you go in.
And it's so intimidating too. And I think for me mentally, like there would be some days where I would just watch like all the people going into the casting room and I'm like, I'm not doing this one. Like, like, nope, I'm not doing it. Like, cause it's intimidating, you know, when you're in a situation where you just don't feel like you fit really. But I think if I could give any advice for that, it's just like, you never know. And sometimes 90% of the time, people don't know what they're actually looking for either. So it's like, put yourself in the door, put yourself in the position to like, give yourself a chance, you know, and don't talk yourself out of it before you've even taken the opportunity.
100%. Yeah. So I feel like one other thing, so it's kind of fascinating because you do have so many followers and you're so cool, but as you were coming up, how many people had this stigma of you or judgment of you, and then they got to know you and like, because like we only knew each other more in passing, and I was like, oh, you're friends with a lot of my friends. So I'm like, you got to be cool people. I'm like, oh, you're definitely dope, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you're just this type of girl. So like, how are you able to really change people's perspective of you and not let that bother you?
Yes, and to add to that, the whole influencer tag could be viewed negatively by certain people like that don't understand it, and there are those influencers that don't, you know, influence
anything positive.
Yeah.
So if you could speak on that too.
Yeah, no, I think with Instagram there was definitely this stigma because especially when it first started, like really the only way to get followers was like showing ass and tits, right? So it was like I was always in lingerie or always in a bikini. And then when I started to shift my brand into more, you know, fashion and just like more natural shit, it was nice because I feel like they were receptive to it, but I was still getting this like wave of negativity of like, all you are is a pretty face type of thing, you know? And like, even with my boyfriend, he was like, yeah, when we matched, because we actually matched on Raya, he's like, when we matched on Raya, he's like, I was not about to DM you. He's like, I saw your Instagram and I was like, oh hell no, this girl's a snob. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I was like, nah, she's not it. Like, I was like, wait, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I just thought like you were one of those girls. It's like, you probably like want a guy with money and like, you just like one of those girls, you know? And I'm like, one of those girls? Like, what does that mean? And he's like, that's just like
exactly
how
what that means.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's, I think, a lot of people's first reaction. So now I think because I've been in the industry for so long and I've kind of just like been able to show my personality more. Like, I do reels and I'm more expressive. It's not just like a plain photo of me like in lingerie or in swimwear. And so I think that's helped with it, and doing things like this where people can actually hear me talk. And
you got a lot to say in a positive way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think just, you know, trying to take that route versus like being so stiff all the time and thinking that everything on my page has to be so professional or so like not relatable, you know?
But I mean, that's like a big part of why we do this podcast. It's like you said, people see a picture, but like, you know, you're a human being. Mm-hmm. Let's humanize everybody. You have your struggles just like everybody else does. You have the things you're battling just like that person that's looking at a picture of you and judging you for it.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, even because I started in OnlyFans, and man, did the haters come out, bro.
Let's hear about this.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm a whore because I'm actually setting a price for my photos and my creative outlet that I've been putting on Instagram for free. And you follow me for the past 10 years. And now I get to actually set a price for it and make people pay for photos that they're going to see me in lingerie or bikinis. You know what I mean? And it's just funny how that works, right? Because I'm like, so you can hate on me and call me names and think like what you want to think, and there's obviously the stigma with it, and I get that. But like, to each their own. Like, who are you to judge anyone doing that anyways? Like, I just bought my own house, okay? Like, come at me.
I never thought about it that way, like, right? I never thought about it that way. Like, you're doing the same thing that you're doing on Instagram. Some people go a little more hardcore. I don't know.
Right.
Well, that's what it is, though. It's like, that's the stigma of it. It's like, you hear OnlyFans, you automatically think, oh, this girl's doing sexual acts now. We're sending naked fucking pictures. And it's like, that's maybe 1% of it. And it's like, yo, 100%. Like, if you're posting the same thing, why wouldn't you take that business opportunity and make that money if you can? Yeah, exactly. Smart. So yeah, there's been a lot of judgment that came with that for sure. And that's been a really weird thing to navigate because, I mean, sex work is a thing, right? Like, and who's to judge that? Like, are you going to judge me because I like sex? Or are you going to judge me because I like to watch sex? Or are you going to judge me because I want to see a guy that looks good, or a girl or a woman that looks good, and maybe she feels good about it? Like, if she feels good about it, who are you to judge go
that?
And troll on.
Exactly. And it's just funny because I feel like the people that hate the most are the ones that are like probably enjoying it the most too. You know, like, you're probably on my feed.
I'm gonna start one called Only Wheels. Yo, you know, there's a whole community like
I bet there is.
Yeah, they're devotees. You know, they're obsessed with people with disabilities, wheelchairs. Like, I get tons of kinks. I'm sure. Yeah, I know you get like hundreds of crazy DMs, and we do too. That are you know, I want to see your feet and your legs, and like, what the?
Yeah, people love to see my feet.
Onlywheels.com.
Insert here.
Yeah. It's gonna be like on the floor with my wheel, like spinning.
Yo, Kev, you better make sure. Our editor better make sure you can insert all these things that we keep on. It's like become a thing.
Lock that down.
Insert here. I really hope that's
insert link here.
It's gonna look really weird if we keep saying insert here and there's no.
Nothing.
People are gonna be looking to click like, wait, hold on,
They're
what?
When is it coming?
That's funny.
Oh man, but yeah, no, it's definitely been it's weird. Like, I went through this phase of like, I don't care, they're not paying my bills, and then.
But you
go through waves
a person,
of it.
Though. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I hate when people are like, yo, just don't listen to them. It's like, it's not that easy to do. And especially if you're having like a ass day and people are constantly trolling you, it's like it's hard not to let that affect you. So like, how do you maneuver that? Because like you said, I'm sure people are awful at some of the things that they say, and like, how do you not let it get to you at points? I mean, I know you're a strong-willed person.
Yeah,
but
I definitely do. Like, it definitely does get to me sometimes, and it has, you know. But I think it's just most important to just go back to your core people, you know, and like, these are the people that I care about, and they care about me and they support me, and like, that's where my energy needs to go. It doesn't need to go into reading nasty comments or the trolls that are talking and like, don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm like, I have a field day with it. I'm like, all right, what you got to say today? Like,
do you respond though?
I definitely have. Like, I would say me 5 years ago, yes. Like, me 5 years ago, I'm like battling back and forth on social media with talkers.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I can't be bothered with it.
You can't give them your energy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because then I'm like, okay, why am I fighting with this person who I literally don't even know?
Yeah. You're feeding that person's.
Right. I'm like
whatever they're going through, you're feeding it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've just kind of taken an entirely different approach now. Like, if there's a negative comment, delete. Like, I just don't even let my energy go there now, because I'm like, I'm gonna use this energy to create more content and make more money.
Yeah. It's like, social media is crazy in that essence that like people troll so much, and like, it's such a killer. I've tried to now, like, I only want to follow my friends,
right?
Or like positive quotes, good stories, because like anything on social media now, not only just the people, but the content people are putting out are so draining.
Oh my God, it's so negative. There's just so much combative.
The world is kind of in a negative place.
No, exactly. I think if people would just, and I've also had to learn. That's what's hard about what, you know, I do is it never ends. Like, anything I'm doing is an opportunity to shoot content and put stuff out. If you're, you know, on social media and that's like a job. And you mentioned before, like, you know, some people don't get it, and people think like, oh, like, influencer, like, you don't have a job. I'm like, bro, I work more hours than you. Like, it never ends for me. Like, I could literally shoot all day until all night. Like, and I've had to learn how to really just like turn it off and put my phone away and be like, this is me time. Like, I don't need to shoot that I'm at the beach with my friends. Like, I need to be present at the beach with my friends.
I'm glad you have that mindset.
Yeah, most people don't understand like how much actual work goes into. They're just like, oh, you just take a picture. It's like, no.
Especially a large following. You have,
you
have
to.
actual fans, like people that follow you. You know, they wake up and they expect that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I have not a lot.
Bro,
I'm like,
you don't have a choice now. Like, we're making you get one.
I'm not
JP's doing it. Huh?
It's not. No. Mm-mm.
I guess we're finding a new
I have
co-host.
this thing against like I don't know.
It's timing. It's a lot of time. It's so much time, effort, energy, thought process, like putting together. It's producing, you're organizing, you're shooting. Like, even this setup, like, people don't know how much goes into.
We're in an apartment in my living room.
Yeah.
Most people would have no idea, but
right.
Don't give away the secrets.
My couch is there. I sleep right past this wall.
This is $100 million studio. He's lying.
Yeah. No, but it's true.
Manifest it.
Yeah.
You will be there.
We are in $100 million studio. That's a big studio for $100 million.
That's like That's like a half a block in LA.
Bro, if we have a $100 million studio, we better be making like way more money.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I'd hope so. Manifestation at its finest.
I'm putting that energy out for you guys.
Yeah, they put us in the basement. Actually, we don't.
We're lucky we have lights. We gotta bring our own.
This hookups a car battery, actually.
I love Marcel.
Oh, here, let's run.
Cut. Here. Insert here.
Yeah. Link here.
Oh, this is a fun ass episode, man.
Oh man. No, but it is weird because I grew up in, like, most people, you know, don't know this about me or would never even expect it. But I think also when they see people in like a successful light, or what they, you know, what they're following, like someone with a social following and doing things for big brands, and they're seeing this like highlight reel of everything, it's like people have no idea like where I came from and what I went through, and like the trials and tribulations that got me to where I'm at, you know? Like, I grew up in a trailer park. Like, me and my mom used to hop the fence and take the Lynx bus to take her to work. Like, you know what I'm saying? And she worked 3 jobs. Like, you know, it was just her and I until I was 7. She met my sister's stepdad, and they had my sister, and then he ended up passing away. And like my mom bought her first house. I think I was going into 7th grade. So like that was, up until that, we lived in a trailer park. Like, and my dad wasn't in the picture. And so there's that whole daddy issues I went through, and like, but it's a lot of stuff to work through and unpack.
Yeah.
And going into like the spotlight where you're just like expected to just be on all the time. There's no humanizing aspect to it at all, know?
People expect you came from something else.
Exactly.
The assumptions are crazy when just seeing a picture of you.
Yeah. No, 100%. So yeah, it's interesting for sure.
So let's move on, because you've lived a life, and we want to get to this other part. There's another amazing part of your life.
You're punny.
Yeah. Punny? I was going to say...
You're so punny.
He's so punny.
What the fuck? Where did this just go?
The Amazing Race, I think.
I know.
That's right.
I know.
I was like, wait, come on, Mikey.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, tell us about the Amazing Race.
Yeah,
the Amazing Race. Well, it was my 2 minutes of fame, you guys.
That and the meme. Actually, the meme might have been around long.
Dude, I had more exposure from that meme than I did on the Amazing Race. Oh man, no, it was honestly like a really cool experience, once in a lifetime thing. Me and my best friend, Desi, we actually both got picked for the top 15 Sports Illustrated as well. So it was like, it was a crazy year for us. So right after that, we got casted for the Amazing Race. They like sequestered us in this hotel for a week in New York, and you're not allowed to talk to anybody else but each other. You go in, all the other teams come. So there's 11 teams total. No one's allowed to talk to each other. You're not allowed, like, you're just there filming and doing all the press and everything for a week in New York. And then we flew from New York to Iceland, and that was when we left New York is when it started. So it was like a 37-hour leg of the race. Like, it was the longest leg of any episode or any season of the entire show, and it had been on for 30 seasons. So that was the longest leg of any season ever.
30 seasons.
37 hours, bro. I was like so delusional when we got to Iceland. I looked at her and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, and she goes, I don't know, actually.
Before the race even started.
No. We had been racing for like 34 hours at this point. And we get out and we're like going to it, and you have your fanny pack and you have your backpack on, and everything that you bring with you, you carry with you the entire time. So we've got these huge backpacks on there, literally like bigger than me. We're running through the crowd or whatever, and people are like telling us like, we know the answer. And I'm like, the answer to what? What are you talking about right now? And she's like, what are we supposed to be doing? And I'm like, that's a great question. And the people in the crowd, because they're all fans, and they're like seeing that we're filming, and they know what's going on. And they're like, we know the answer. And I'm like, okay,
what's the question?
I'm like, wait. And then I looked at her and I'm like, oh, our clue. Get our clue. Okay, so we get the clue. And we look, and there's like these strong people, and it's like it's so organized and made the way they want it to go, right? So,
I was going to ask, like, how scripted it was.
No, I wouldn't say scripted as much as it's... Guided, yeah. Like, for instance, the creator of the show at one point was like, oh, why don't you guys go over there and take photos with the strong people? And Desi looks at me, she's like, we're not doing that, we're racing. He almost got you, bitch. Like, because they wanted us to stay back so that another team could possibly go, in front of us. And it was hilarious because it was freezing cold, and we had layers. We looked like little like freaking minions running through this square with these huge massive boots on. And once you get to a certain point, you're allowed to drop your backpack once you see like the ending, and you can like sprint. So we end up in a foot race with the other team. And it happened because when we got to Iceland, we were actually killing it. Like I traversed over an ice glacier. Like she had to rope me back in. Like
Jesus.
it was sick. It was actually sick. And I was like, I'm afraid of heights. So I was like, anything that has heights involved, like I just want to get it out. Like the first thing, like let me just get it out of the way, you know? So of course, the very first thing is like, you're going to traverse over a 300-foot ice glacier and your partner's going to pull you back in. So we were in like 5th place at this point. We were killing it. And then she had to go around and there was like these ice sculptures that had letters in them, and she had to guess the Icelandic word that it was based on these ice sculptures and put it into a thing. So at that point, we're like, oh my God, like we're like on it right now. We're doing so good. We're so pumped. We get in the car, and the next clue is like, find this parking space.
Yes, I read about that. So go ahead.
Yes, find this parking space, and you can only park in the designated parking spot, right? And they have all these rules, like you have to follow, you know, all of the traffic violations, codes or whatever, and you can't speed, you have to make stop signs if they're there and all these things. And anytime you stop and ask anyone anything, they have to sign an NDA, and they have to sign like basically saying that they're going to be okay to be on camera. So that takes up time, right? So we get to this place and we're looking for the parking, and we're asking these people, like, where is this spot? And they're like, you have no phones. Like, we have a map from the gas station. Like, we're trying to navigate in a foreign country that we've never been to. And they're like, you can't get there by car. I'm like, well, obviously we can, because we have to. Like, this is the clue. They're like, no, you can't get there by car. We asked, I'm not kidding you, probably 25 people. And at this point, when we got there, trying to find the parking, we were in 5th place. So we're thinking we're killing it, right? Hours are going by. I'm driving in circles for literally 3.5 hours. Like, can't find this parking spot. And the camera guys are like, you can't turn down. I keep trying to turn down this road. He's like, you can't go down there. It's a one-way. And I'm like, but that's where we need to go. And he's like, can't go down there. It's a one-way. You gotta figure it out. And I'm like, so angry. And Desi's in the back. She's like, well, this is the first problem. I'm reading a map. Like... And I'm like, we're so.
It's probably amazing TV right there.
Yeah. So then we end up seeing so there were these NBA All-Star basketball players on our season, and we end up seeing the basketball players like running through the square, and we're like, where's the parking? And they're like, it's that way. And I'm like, more, give us more. We need more. And so long story short, we end up finding the parking. This happens. We end up in a foot race with the other team, and I'm booking it, right? And I looked at Desi and I'm like, I feel like we could take this shortcut, and I have a hunch that this is like where the ending is. And she's like, I know, but the other team's going this way. So do we risk it and go that way, or do we go where they're going and beat them in the foot race? Because we're like, we can beat them in the foot race. And I was like, all right, I guess we'll foot race it, right? So we go around this square. It's like a 1.5 miles long. We finally get to the edge where we can drop our bags. I drop my bags and I'm booking it. Meanwhile, I got sick when we were in New York. So I had an inhaler that the doctor gave me because I couldn't breathe, because it was like a chest infection, like sinus thing. And I'm running, and I get to the mat, and the basketball players had a penalty, so they were actually on the mat as well. So it was the basketball players who were like 7 foot tall, me and Desi who are like 5'3", 5'4", and then the other team that we're foot racing with. And I get on the mat thinking she's right behind me, and it's the other girl, and both teammates have to be on the mat at the same time for you to for them to count you as good. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, drop your bag. What are you doing? Drop your bag. You can run faster. And she's like, I'm peeing my pants. And I'm like, what? Meanwhile, she's screaming she's peeing her pants. She takes her shoes off. She's flopping in the wind like this with her socks because they're like hanging off of her feet. It was a sight to see, okay? The basketball players are standing behind me and they're cracking up laughing. Like, what is going on? And she's like, I just peed my pants. And I'm like, you did what? And I'm like, give me the inhaler. She's like, I just peed my pants. I'm like, give me the inhaler. I can't breathe. She's like, I just peed my pants. And I'm like, so I take the inhaler and we end up losing, right? So, because I hit, the other girl hits, and her and Desi hit it like pretty much the same time. And they're like, oh, we checked the cameras, girls. They didn't check the cameras. Ring girls, you've been eliminated. And I'm like, cool. I'm such a sore loser. I'm like sitting there with the mean. I'm like, congratulations, right? The basketball players end up coming like 2 days later because they got kicked off, and they're like, yo, that was the funniest we've ever seen. Like, You're sitting there like, I need my inhaler. And Desi just keeps saying, I peed my pants. I peed my pants. So she peed her pants on national television because we didn't have time to stop anywhere because we were racing. And so we're in our like post interviews and they're like, so like, how was your experience, guys? And I'm like, well, it's not every day your best friend pees her pants on national TV. So I'm like, even though we lost, I feel like I'm winning.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then they sent us to Italy for like 3 weeks out until the show was over.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking
Which
sick.
I was like, okay, realistically, it ended up being like the gnarliest season. Like 90% of the competitions were like head-to-head competitions, and they were like, most of them were physical. And I'm like, oh, when was I ever going to beat a male at anything physical head-to-head? Realistically, like, come on, be honest. Like, never. And so we ended up winning because I'm like, we got to spend 3 weeks in Europe for free and do everything you could possibly do in Italy. And eat and drink. And
what part of Italy?
We went to Rome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was.
You won. She peed her pants on national.
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah. It was a good time.
That's.
Yeah.
Funny. So you've been through a lot of cool. Where in the future do you see you kind of taking, like, because you have all these cool brands and everything going, so like, what's the direction you're looking to take it, and like, what's kind of the dream?
Yeah, I feel like I've segued into kind of the perfect transition for me, doing the social media marketing and helping brands implement influencer programs and things like that. So I'll probably stay on that wave for a little bit, as long as I can, just because why not? Making good money, and I get to pretty much work from home, which is amazing. I can travel when I want to and do my job from anywhere, which has been awesome. And then obviously the dream is like Axel blows up, and I got my swimwear out there everywhere. And
do you have a message behind Axel? Is it just like, is there anything that is special? I mean, it's special because it's your brand and your baby. But like, what is it around it? Is there a message to it or?
Yeah, so I mean, we wanted to kind of we want everyone to just feel invited to it. Like, we want to stay away from the word inclusivity because I feel like it's just every brand is using it now, but we just want to stay. We've said that we want to kind of stay with women on their journey. So like, if you're a mom or you're pregnant or you gained a couple pounds or you lost a couple pounds, like, we got swimwear for you, and like, we want you to feel good in your bikini. And we've also been donating to women's charities and nice. Like battered women's places and things like that. So, just supporting women in all aspects and just giving people the place to like feel comfortable in their skin and wear a bikini that's fits like a glove, and the fabric is
like a glove?
Fits like a glove. The fabric is recycled and 80% recyclable, and then we also, our packaging, we just found this week, is 100% biodegradable and dissolves in water. So we're not using any plastic when we're shipping out our stuff.
That's cool.
I was about to say, the environment dissolves in water.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing. Danny said, just what?
He's like, hold up.
Pause. Insert here.
I don't get out a lot. You guys
need to see the sun today. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Cooped up in this $100 million studio.
Yeah, that's it, man.
In the basement.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
Man.
No, it's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
That's super awesome. As we're wrapping up here, it's something we like to ask everybody. You've had this cool story. You have all these amazing things going on. What's the thing, one or two things that you're most grateful for on this journey that has brought you here?
Oh man, journey of life is it's a crazy one. I would say the thing I'm probably most grateful for is just the people I've met along the way. I feel like I've just been fortunate enough to be surrounded by so many people that just spread positivity and love and awareness. And I have people that just have my back constantly. So that's probably number one for me. And then number two, I just have done so much cool shit like that I just never thought in a million years, being from, where I started and where I came from. I just never thought that I would like be traveling the world and seeing places like Italy and Spain and being on TV and like, I'm in like photo shoots with exotic animals, like a jaguar on my back. Like, it's just like, like things like that you can't put a price tag on it. It's just memories that are just like stained in your head forever. It's just like
appreciating the journey.
Yeah, appreciating the journey.
That's awesome. Not many people realize to do that. So that's so great that you did. Yo, homie, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure. Drop your socials where everybody can find you, the swimwear, everything you got going on.
Yeah, at Kayla Fitz 3 on all platforms. And then Axel Swim, AXILSWIM.
Make sure you follow. Great message behind everything that you do.
You're doing.
Thanks.
We
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you so much.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
That's the chaos. We'll see you next time. Peace.